Okay, so we've gone from navigation to parent accounts. Now we're going to look at this discussion around digital citizenship, and we welcome Casper Peters.
All right, thank you, Mark. It's very nice to be here and be able to present this. I'm definitely a user of Moodle, the end user. I just want to explain the name Sukkot. Sukkot is a derivative of MOOC, which is Massive Open Online Course, we all know. Sukkot is, I'm interested in doing the opposite and actually using this wonderful instrument to have dialogues with very close communities, like school communities and the likes. There are advantages in doing that, in that people tend to know each other already, and there's other possibilities that you don't have necessarily in a global format. I looked at a lot of different types of LMSs, and I find Moodle ticks all the boxes for me, apart from it being a very accessible and user-friendly and very versatile in the application you wanna use it for. But I really like the way Moodle allows the possibilities of discussion of forums and the various possibilities within that. And so I've really used Moodle to amplify the ability to have intricate discussions within a school community. The word democratic in front of it is that I feel that schools not necessarily are democracies. They're more totalitarian with dictates, and I'll show you in this talk where the norm in Australian schools is that you get an AUP at the beginning of your entry into secondary school, or when you get access to technology, and the parents and the children or the students have to sign this, and it's kind of assumed that they understand what this document is all about. I think doing it that way is students will tend to find ways of getting around it, and they're very clever at this. So involving students in a discussion about the digital citizenship or the AUP, the acceptable use policy in a school, is important because they will identify, first of all, why we have a policy, and they may even contribute in the formation of that policy to make it up to date to that particular school community. Now, digital citizenship is a label. I'm not terribly comfortable with the digital citizenship, but it's something that has been labeled as such. In summary, it is really how to use technology safely and efficiently, and to teach young people this. Young people tend to take up technology very quickly. They were growing up with it. They capture the ABC, but they kind of stuck with the E, F, G as they run through the alphabet. They use it for entertainment, fun, and gaming, and then forget about the rest of the alphabet. It's very much my approach is to teach the rest of the alphabet of technology so that kids can use the technology that's in their hands as much as efficiently and as safely as possible for their learning. Technology is in class is present, as we all know. There's a smart board there. By the way, this is a setup. I teach occasionally at Padua College in Mornington and various other places. And I set this up to illustrate the point. But very often when I look in classes, the smart board is switched off and the computer in the corner is switched off. And the kids, if they have access to their devices, are not always using it for their learning, or maybe they are learning, but they're not learning what the teacher's trying to put across. So I think there's a real room to systematically take an approach to digital citizenship that students will understand the need for how the technology can be properly used within a learning environment. To do this, digital citizenship encompasses, it's a very evolving kind of topic. I prefer the word iMaturity, internet maturity. The reason for that is that maturity implies that there is some growth to do. Digital citizenship is kind of very official to me and very flat. But like I said before, it is the kind of the tag we have, but I prefer iMaturity, and it's something that we'd like to push a bit more. But it encompasses all sorts of ethical issues like values, communication, the variety of communication, the various issues associated with it. Of course, awareness of the digital environment and all sorts of issues with it. I will go very quickly over this because possibly most people know what digital citizenship is all about, and I want to get to the core of this talk. But of course, there's safety and all the issues on cybersecurity and the likes that we see now and then in the media, and the issues on health, the amount of screen time, how to manage that, posture, and those kind of very practical sides of using technology. Awareness of the new literacies. There's a lot more than just reading a book. It is symbols to be understood, and the various different types of literacies that now exist to be able to manage efficiently the technology. A good example of that is that if you would give an iPad to someone who'd never seen an iPad before, they would have no idea how to use it. It's very difficult because there's so much symbols involved. User spectrum, the awareness of that we're not passive users of the internet anymore, but we are interacting with the web too. And more now there's the push that we are becoming empowered to create our own media and therefore have a say in what kind of material we digest. So the use of coding courses, etc., is very much in vogue now. This is a good thing because it does make people able to create their own media rather than just being subjected to them. Here, this is a game and go and play it. Technology is an enabler. I think it's very important that we see technology in a very positive light and to teach the students to make use of technology, to make use of their, the footprint, to manage their footprint so that in future that they show a very, very positive picture of themselves to prospective employers or entry programs in further study and the likes. So it's very important for students to understand that they can use those tools for those purposes. To have all this, we need to work together. I think digital citizenship is something that is really good to work within a community because it requires all the participants to work together for this common aim. So the students, parents, and teachers. To do that effectively, to do that systematically, I like starting with the AUP, or the Digital Citizen Policy of a school, which basically is the write-up, the little contract that people sign before they get entry to the internet, or the school's internet. That is a good document to work around these courses. And I like to take the approach that teachers, parents, and students are all learning about this document together in their own way. So we address the parents as an audience, we address the teachers as an audience, and we address the students as an audience. So it becomes particularly relevant for them. And then there is a feedback mechanism for all of them to be able to discuss and contribute about what this digital citizen policy should be all about, and maybe even make amendments. If parents really get up to date with what's going on with technology in schools, they will be able to support the teachers in their efforts to instill internet maturity in their students. And likewise, teachers are having difficulty in incorporating good digital citizenship into their subject matter. And this course would be really nice to be able to teach teachers how to do that effectively. So I've created a platform, a very simple platform that sits on the internet of schools. And so it's run from their server. And the front end of it is that you have a course for students, a course for parents, and a course for teachers. The fourth course I'll mention in a minute. But basically, each group will enter into their own course stream. And the course runs over 7 weeks. It starts at the same time. The wonderful thing, of course, it can run on all devices and at any time. It's very convenient. And so the courses are course-specific to the target group. but the subject matter that's being discussed in each course runs in parallel with the other courses. So, for example, if we're talking about cybersecurity, we're talking about cybersecurity at the same time in the student's course, in the parent's course, and in the teacher's course. So, but in their own terms, from their own perspectives. And we encourage in these courses very much for the participants to discuss amongst themselves what the issues are, and therefore, what I like so much about Moodle is that the participants are creating the relevant knowledge. So we are creating a kind of a platform that they can move around on and be exposed to wonderful resources, but then they are discussing what's relevant to them. And the wonderful thing about school communities is that each school community will have its own issues with this digital citizen policy. So some may gravitate more towards cybersecurity, others may find digital literacies more important or what have you. They'll shape where their interest lies. But the main aim is that by the end of this 7-week period, everybody should be on the same page. They would have a good understanding of what this AUP is all about. And the students, having been in a blended course, the parents and teachers courses are much more online, but the students will also be exposed to classwork and also will be interacting directly with their parents. But by the end of the day, they all should understand this policy and also get a kind of a sense of ownership about it, that they find it makes sense to have these rules applied. That's the lofty aim anyway. The students' course and all the other courses are very much aimed for the target, for the audience. And I make use of the wonderful resources that are around in Australia on government sites and NGOs, but also in the US and other English-speaking countries. So in that sense, the courses have become an aggregator of, I've aggregated the quality resources that are out there and put them into a format so that they're not standalone anymore, but that within the Moodle, they promote discussion, and it's the discussion where the real learning occurs. It's wonderful to do these research, to play with these games, etc., but to then discuss these issues is where we really want to go with it. To provide motivation, the students receive a badge each week, which is easily done in Moodle. But by the end of it, they're getting a license, so they can really, it's about like getting a driver's license. Everybody, or many people can drive a car, but they need to know the road rules and the courtesy of being on the road to get their driver's license or keep their driver's license. And it's the same as when you're on the superhighway. You need those kind of qualities. And there will be like a digital citizenship pin that they can be proud of walking around on their coats and their school coats. Now, as I said before, the course is designed to be completely on the intranet of the school. There's reasons for that. I think some of the principals I talked with, they said, look, what about where does this data go? Where does the data sit, etc.? I said, well, it can sit within your secure environment of your firewall, and also teachers can run it. And so not many teachers are familiar with Moodle, so I've created a course. Usually IT teachers will take it on to run this course or this set of courses, but it could be anyone, really, any teacher. They will be shown the Moodle basics and how to navigate around. And course structure, the courses are structured in a certain way that really allows for the participants to stay with the course. There's a process we call the 5-stage process, where initially you make people very comfortable, and then you kind of lead them into, it's almost like climbing a mountain. You get ready at the camp base, and everybody gets to know each other, and then you start doing your climb more and more. As a moderator, you have different roles at these different stages, so that's being explained. The skills of weaving these forum streams, thank you. These forum streams are an important skill to really create focus in these discussions, and the understanding of the asynchronous communication as a communication tool. And most importantly, also they're shown how to manage their time so that they don't spend hours and hours doing this. You can do this quite efficiently. So just in summary, the aim of it is that schools really make their AUP alive, that everybody will understand it, that teachers, parents and students are working together to make the internet a very safe and efficient environment for learning. By the end of these courses, I aggregate all the information and put that into a kind of a document that I present to the schools that gives kind of a snapshot of what that particular year the discussions have been about and the likes, which they can use for their purposes. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Any questions in relation to that?
I'm just asking about the cost. It sounds really good, but what kind of cost are you?
I'm being in discussion with various principals. I'm at the moment trialing this with some schools, but it seems like it's going to be like about $15 per student. That seems to be the right and appropriate amount. Yes.
So once you hit go, pretty much, you've just got 7 weeks to complete it. It's no way to make it self-paced for the students.
No, because we're very much focusing on the discussions. They're not live; they're asynchronous discussions. But the site certainly will be available to them still. That will just be sitting on the school server for that entire year. So the resources will be there, and the discussion threads will be there.
So can the students then access it after the 7 weeks to go get the
Yes.
resources and watch it? And if they don't happen to participate in the discussions in that 7 weeks, do they then have to re-enroll to get the accreditation or the badge? Or does it automatically get the badges each week?
I think the badges will be issued as the course is active, but they certainly will be able to access the resources after the course has finished. But there won't be kind of a reward system or anything like that. It'll be like guest access more than anything else. But I'm quite open to a change of that. I mean, once the school has taken it on, they can do what they like with it for a year, really.
So you're not looking at doing site licenses for schools? Or
Yes.
just
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
okay.
That would be the easiest way of doing it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, just a big thank you again for all 3 speakers.